Hi, welcome. It's time for my town hall and campaign update today. It's a Sunday and it's 3:30 in the afternoon in West Virginia and in Washington, D.C. So, welcome. My name is Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki, or Susan Buchser for short, and I am still a presidential candidate for the 2024 presidential election. I am waiting for the Supreme Court to act on my lawsuit. And let's see what happens there. There's a lot of fraud and manipulation in our election system and in a lot of things. And so it has to start somewhere. And people do what their government does. And if there's fraud in the government, there's fraud in the businesses, there's fraud in personal relationships, and it's not healthy. It's not good. And I'm fighting it. That's why I have a lawsuit with the Supreme Court. I'm not really a lawyer, don't really have that background. In fact, it's furthest from my interests, truthfully. But I'm one who believes in truth and justice. And so when it came time to act on my knowledge of all the fraud and manipulation in the system, I had to do something. And since sending emails and commenting on Facebook wasn't getting the powers that be to do their part, to defend their so-called belief of the Constitution and being truthful and honest and representatives of the people, they decided not to contact me back and ignored my calls for stopping the election and doing it differently and all the different options that I gave them. So I had to take to the courts. And I hope we'll hear something soon. I know I'm like a broken record. I've been saying that for over a year because I handed it in not this February, but the February before. And okay, it was the end of February, so we'll say March. I handed it in March. But still, we're almost done with May 2025. Now, I have to admit, Donald Trump is not doing a bad job. I agree with a lot of the things that he's doing. I have different policies on taxes and things of that nature, but I think, it's going all right. So, I do have to say thank you, Donald Trump, for what you're doing so far. I think we're heading in a good direction. I know a lot of people are not understanding what you're doing, and or they are understanding it and they don't like it. So it's two sides. But anyway, I approve of your actions, more or less, what you're doing. Thank you. So So I don't think I'm going to continue with running for office after the real results from this election become available. But I have learned that this new way of bringing change to our country does work, using the court system and running for office. So I can't, I can't really say I won't do it ever again. I just, I need to focus on a little bit me right now. And let's see what the Supreme Court does. So I am available for whatever is coming. I think, I don't know if you're aware, but I usually do a children's book reading also once a week. Supposedly from a candidate, but no other candidate has opted in to read a children's book. So it's just me. And right now I'm reading more for like teenagers or any child or anyone who's interested. I'm reading the Constitution. And I just got to the part where it starts to get confusing as to what they're talking about. I mean, there are parts that are very clear, and then it gets really weird. And this is where I am. So, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 1, 2, and 3. I mean, especially 1, it's, my interpretation before I looked at what the real interpretation is was something about people traveling between states and how they might have to pay a $10 charge for traveling into a new state. But apparently it's more about slavery. And if you bring slaves into a different state, I mean, slaves could only go into slave states. They couldn't go into other states. So that was another thing. But it was about slavery. And then the next two are equally like strangely written. And I've been calling since 2020 that we might want to rewrite our Constitution. Most countries around the world, every little while, when it comes time, when their Constitution is no longer working or there's too much corruption, there comes a time where a country has to rewrite their Constitution. And, like China has had many different types of rulers and constitutions. Switzerland, where I am right now, they're like over, I think, 700 and maybe 50 years, 700 years for sure. And, they've had different rulers and different ways of being ruled. And then also they had many constitutions. And oftentimes we inspire each other, actually, for a lot of things. They inspired us by their history and in our country becoming a country and our Constitution. But then their latest Constitution is also inspired from ours, the U.S. one. So it's not the worst thing to look around at what other countries are doing and how they handle change. And sometimes big changes are needed in a country. And I think that's where we are in the U.S. We tried this system for a long time, and it's no longer working in the current environment. So we need to make some drastic changes. I hear you people out there who want your voices heard and you're not being heard. Your representatives are not representing you. And, we are all pretty well educated now. And it's time to give a lot of the votes straight to the public. And that way, too, the public is informed about what is happening in Washington, what is happening at your state, your capital in your state, and even locally. I think most of us are disjointed now. News comes in so many different ways. We don't always get all the news stories anymore. And this is important because you're a citizen. This is about your life. Laws and what's going on in Washington and in your state capital and in your local town, county, town hall from the mayor. These are all things that affect your life. And you need to know what's happening. And you also need to let your voice be heard. And so it's time to have a new voting system where the votes go to you, the public. You get informed about what you're voting on beforehand, and you have time to think about it and make your own decisions, and then you can vote. And then you hand it in, and then your vote is counted. And I also recommend that good people out there who are concerned citizens, that they get involved in the counting of the votes. Because the more people we have there with integrity, the better and more accurate the result will be. And that's where we have to begin, because right now we got a lot of corruption in our government, and it trickles down. This is one thing that does trickle down. Sadly, it trickles into the courts, it trickles into laws, it trickles into the states, and it trickles into the corporations, and then it trickles into the minds of our people and our youth. And then we got lots of corruption and greed, and it's just not pleasant anymore. You know, life does not have to be a minefield that we have to negotiate every day and watch where we step. This is not acceptable. I got so many people trying to trick me into saying yes to this or yes to that, and join this group and join that. I'm tired of defending myself. It's not acceptable. Trickery is not good business policy. It's just not. It's not acceptable. And sadly, our government is doing it, or has in the past. And corporations are doing it. Our states are doing it. And I'm just mind-boggled that this is being accepted. So anyway, it's time to put our foot down. And it's time to clean up our government and clean up our society from all this corruption and greed. Yeah. So, that's what's going on campaign-wise. Is I've got that lawsuit pending because, we cannot go on this way. It's not healthy for you or me or any of us, and certainly not for our children, not for the world. It's time for change. Then, one of the things on my to-do list, as far as being a presidential candidate and change I want to bring to the U.S., is to separate church and state again. Slowly, over the years, the Christian church has been taking over our country. And I just discovered again where it happened somewhat recently. And I don't know if people just weren't paying attention or if they didn't care or whatever, but it happened. And what happened is in all of our military branches, when you go to sign up or you graduate from your division or training or whatever, the different ways are, or if you come in as an officer or whatever the case may be, there are oaths that you have to take, or affirmations, depending on your religious beliefs. And before 1962, the wording was different. And in 1962, the Congress decided to add the word faith into the oath, and to add so help me God at the end. And when I know in the Constitution it clearly states in several places that there should be separation of church and state, having a military promise to uphold the Constitution and protect it and protect our government and our country against enemies, and then they say, so help me God, that for me says that we're a Christian nation. And I don't think that was our intent. We were never intended to be missionaries for Christianity. But slowly, over the last 130 years, Wheels have been put in motion to turn our country in that direction. One thing after the other keeps happening. So it's time to go back to a neutral military stance, and let's embrace peace through strength. Let's focus on our own selves, our own country, our own people, because we need it. Our people are suffering, and they need help and guidance. And in our current state, they're not getting it. But slowly but surely, the actions Donald Trump has taken is taking our country in a good direction. So I am pleased with where we are going currently. But we need to remove the term God and Lord, and if there are any references to Jesus or faith, we need to remove that from documents, from oaths, because you need to be responsible for your actions and do it for the country, not for Jesus, not for God, not, and if you happen to be Muslim, not for Muhammad. So, and if you happen to be a Buddhist, not for Buddha. If you're in the military doing military things, you're doing it for country and for the Constitution. You're doing it for freedom, for human rights. That's what you're doing. It has nothing to do with God. It has nothing to do with Jesus. It has nothing to do with Muhammad. It has nothing to do with Buddha. It has to do with the U.S. Constitution, and it has to do with protecting the country and the citizens of the country. So Congress has slowly done bad things, turning us into a Christian nation, which we were never intended to be. From the very beginning of our country, we had certainly 5 different, maybe even more, Christianities in Congress at the beginning, in our government at the beginning. And we even had Muslims and Buddhists and atheists. We had it all. And I just don't understand this push for this, to become missionaries. It's not acceptable. We have government for government, and religion happens at the churches. That's how it works. And religion is a personal thing that you do in your private time. It is not sanctioned by the government whatsoever. So I want to go through the Constitution and oaths and things of that nature, and we need to remove references to any religious source. Unless it specifically is needed, it needs to be removed from documents, from oaths and obligations. So that is one of my items on the to-do list that I have as a presidential candidate. And so we will be working on that too. Tomorrow is Memorial Day, and that's why I did that research and discovered that in 62 they changed the oath for the armed forces to include "So help me God," and to add the word faith in there. And I don't know how I wasn't born yet, so I don't know how it got there, but it's not acceptable. Yeah. So, I'm working on it. That's what I can say. And with tomorrow being Memorial Day, I wish that we all can find peace and stop having wars. We can do this. We can live in peace. We can strengthen our people and give them the tools necessary to be a peaceful group, a peaceful country. But right now, we have so many people working for bad reasons, profit mongers and greed and wanting to spread Christianity through wars. And this is where we got to stop. We got to go back to our neutrality, peace through strength. We need to build up our young people so that they are confident and can take on the world's challenges, the life's challenges, and succeed. That's what a good country does. It helps its people. It doesn't go out trying to spread a religion. So we've been hijacked by the Democrats and Republicans, and a lot of them are working together to do this. And I'm pretty sure that maybe Donald Trump is working on that issue too, trying to find out who's behind this and how to stop them. That's where we are. So I wish everyone a peaceful Memorial Day. And I would like to add, although women are working now in the military as well, there's still a large group of women who do a huge amount of contribution to our country through giving birth, through making babies, raising kids, and they're doing it currently for free. So I want to use this opportunity to remind you that I'm working on getting mothers paid a living salary where they don't have to do work as well as be mothers, because it's a lot of work just to be a mother. So what I can say is these mothers also make sacrifices, and sometimes it's the ultimate sacrifice. And they are producing U.S. citizens. And without U.S. citizens, we don't have a military, do we? So mothers are pretty important. And currently, they don't really have a Memorial Day for them. So I would like to add mothers to this Memorial Day and future Memorial Days, where women who have died in childbirth, in pregnancy, in raising kids. I mean, this also includes grandmothers and aunts, anyone who spent time trying to raise a child. And since Memorial Day is about people losing their lives in active duty. So it would be mothers, parents, even fathers who died during their job of being a parent, of being the guardian for the moment, whether they're pregnant or birthing, or whether they're driving or running or whatever. Let's think of those people too, because without new U.S. citizens coming to life, we don't have a military. So women and people raising children are important too. Their contribution to our country is also important and needs to be recognized. And when they fall down, when they are hurt or injured or killed while doing their job, maybe they're even defending their child against somebody and get killed. This day is also for you. I declare that parenthood, guardianship is something to be honored and remembered, especially if life is lost while on duty. And then for those of you who have been in battle across the world, working tirelessly for the U.S. government to defend our Constitution and our country, I thank you for that. And for the ones who have lost their lives, I thank their family for allowing them to do their work, their important work of defending the country, which they did, and they paid the ultimate sacrifice. You are in my heart and in my mind and in my thoughts. And I wish you peace. And especially I wish peace to the children who are missing that someone special. It is not easy losing an important family figure. Especially unexpectedly or too soon. I am sorry for that. And I wish you peace. So, I wish you a good Memorial Day tomorrow. Let's actually have a moment of silence right now for those people. All right. So thank you for stopping by. I wish you a good day or evening wherever you are. And I'll see you next Wednesday. And if you want to find out more about me and my lawsuit, you can go to my website at susan4usa.com. Or I have my Facebook page, which is pretty popular. It's got, it's quite up to date. I usually make a couple of posts a day. And I think the code is whatever the Facebook part is, and then susan4usa.com or Susan4USA. I think it stops there. So that's the Facebook page. So yeah, come and join me. And I have over 600 videos now on YouTube, so you can have a look at what I was saying back in 2020 and what I'm saying now. It's not much different. My goals are still to pay mothers and to get us back to a neutral stance in our military. We don't need war. Nothing good comes from war, and it always ends in negotiation at the end. So let's just skip the war part and move to negotiation. That's what we need to do. Okay. On that note, I'm going to go. Thank you again for stopping by. I wish you a good day or evening wherever you are. Bye for now. It's not stopping. This is time for one of those blooper things. Okay. Bye.